So Gen AI is the talk of the town. It's the hottest topic out there. And just like many other industries, as soon as it came out, the process industry started trying to figure out how to implement it. One thing I'll say is the maturity as such, uh, on lines with digital transformation, the process industries are slightly behind in terms of maturity as compared to the tech industries and some of the other industries, but they're definitely starting to adopt it. And if we see like evolution of maturity in Gen AI use cases, it'll almost start from being more of query chatbots to actually bringing in some quant analysis to finally actually integrating end-to-end workflows. So I would say a lot of the clients that I have worked with and I have actually spoken to, they're still in the early stages where they're actually trying to figure out where they can use it. And some of them have started implementing their own chat GPTs in their environment and are using some of these to extract queries and give queries and information in their own environments, like for example HSC documents or drilling operating procedures, those kind of things. So.
Thank you, Raghu. Nikhil, what are you seeing on Gen AI maturity and its applicability and adoption with your customers?
So Maya, as Visionaize, the good thing is we are seeing all clients are talking about Gen AI, and they are basically keeping Gen AI as part of their digital strategy. And 75% of these clients are really doing it. And when I say 75%, they are doing primarily POC and pilots. They want to test, they want to see what is the value of it. And most of these pilots are basically chatbots, as Raghu mentioned, chatbots or extracting the data in the structured format from the unstructured data. But the good thing is, half of these customers are now ready for scale up, right? So when you ask about the adoption, I mean, adoption is very high compared to any technology we had seen ever, right? I mean, the Gen AI started last year, and now you see, I mean, people are in our industry, which is a pretty traditional industry, industrial sector, oil and gas, energy. So here also, all most of these clients they are having Gen AI as part of their strategy. As per McKinsey recent report, they mentioned the adoption rate is 25 to 30% per year, so which is pretty significant.
Thanks, Nikhil. Raghu, you've been advising multiple clients on Gen AI across the energy industry. What are the areas you've been focusing on when it comes to Gen AI?
So one of the places, like as Nikhil just mentioned, right? So clients are definitely very, very interested, and as clients start looking at Gen AI, there are some concerns also about Gen AI as a whole. So where people are really starting is places where it is less where data is more publicly available, where they can actually start looking at data in a more which is not as competitive in nature or there is not as much IP. So typically, what I have seen as clients are actually starting. Majority of the clients have started with HSC as one of theirs, where actually information is very important, as well as a lot of the procedures, a lot of the HSC incident reports are quite public, and so that is where people have started. They've actually started creating uh, an a query system where you can query all of the HSC use cases, HSC incidents, and figure out why something has happened, how can they avoid it. So that it's basically a HSC chatbot. They've then expanded those kind of things to drilling and production operations, where you can actually look at or maintenance, where you are able to look at all of those operating procedures and find out what is the right operating procedure that a new employee or a contractor has to follow when they actually go into the field to deliver their work. Another area which is also catching up, where people are starting to use and it is actually driving significant value for clients, is in report generation. Typically, especially during critical operations like drilling operations or turnarounds, uh, The key engineers spend a lot of time generating the reports from multiple data sources and multiple other reports. So, generative AI, with its capabilities, is extremely good at recreating or at least creating a first draft of the report. And that is another place where clients are starting to look at how to do those. So, but these are again just Gen AI specific. This is where they are. Where people haven't still really started looking at Gen AI is more of the complex Gen AI use cases in terms of combining Gen AI with either a quant algorithm or getting more closer to agentic AI type of use cases.
Thank you, Raghu. Nikhil, you've also been working with lots of clients on Gen AI. What are some of the areas you're able to demonstrate quick wins?
So, Maya, like for any technologies, our clients want to see whether Gen AI works for their environment. I mean, when I say for their environment, like process plants or supply chain management, right? And basically, they want to see the accuracy of any output coming from it, right? And what is the value of it? So that's a very critical thing. So the journey we are seeing and the wins we are having and basically demonstrating to the client is, as Raghu mentioned, is more like in the early phase, like chatbot and Q&A format. For example, like a standard operating procedure for health, safety, and environment. Isolation philosophy using our 3D digital twin, or commissioning and startup procedure. They use those when they need to commission and start up any plant, and these procedures are sitting somewhere. So how can they can get those on the fingertips, and they can basically apply when they are doing these jobs. Similarly, process troubleshooting. They have a lot of reports, cause and effect diagram, operations log, and how they can bring everything together at one place and then get the insight out of it. So those type of things we are seeing. Similarly, in the capital projects, so we are working with some contractors and clients also. They have a lot of documents, design guides, procurement suppliers documents, how they can get the intel out of it. So similarly, in the maintenance side, maintenance technician. So maintenance technicians, when he's in the field, they have certain procedure to do things, work permit requirement, how I need to repair the impeller if impeller damage, what I need to open. So there are standard procedures these clients have. So we are basically having really good traction in those spaces.
Thanks, Nikhil. Raghu, you mentioned most POCs are currently focused on queries and chatbots. Do you think Gen AI will drive new ways of delivering transformational value?
Absolutely, Maya. There is no doubt about it. And I think every single technology goes through a maturity curve. And in fact, Gen AI is probably going 3 times or 4 times faster along the maturity curve than any other technology that we have seen. The adoption rate is so high. This is not seen before for any of the technologies. One of the things about Gen AI and the LLM algorithms which it focuses is that it is very good at data discovery. It is actually very good at having a conversation. So the currently, most of the use cases when you use just those algorithms are limited to discovering data and discovering insights. Where Gen AI can really become powerful is when you combine that with other AI or quant algorithms. And furthermore, it can actually, one of the things which is the talk of the town in the last couple of months, I'm pretty sure a lot of the people have started hearing the word agentic AI, which is more about how can you actually use generative AI to plug in and do an entire workflow, automate an entire workflow with Gen AI taking quite a few decisions with or supporting humans to make a lot of the decisions. Almost think of it as a Gen AI agent is another team member that you're working with. It's a very different way of working. So if I have to take a couple of examples to make it real, right? So where you can significantly unlock value, we have a lot of right of ways, we have a lot of leases that we take in the upstream oil and gas industry, and sometimes it's very difficult to track when a has a very special covenant and what happens. So that is a place where Gen AI can actually extract some of those non-critical leases and start matching it with, let's say, your production data, your drilling database, and say, okay, by the way, you haven't drilled a well in the last 60 days, so your lease is at risk, or you haven't produced any oil from this particular lease, so you need to do something, or your royalty payment is due. So it could actually link with multiple other databases to give that analysis. Or as an extension, you could also start doing benchmarking. So you could actually combine with multiple data sets and start benchmarking your processes both internally and externally. And it can prompt and say, your particular information as you're actually you could do one or two other new things to make it better. And finally, it would be optimizing the entire workflow. How could you, it could actually become your co-pilot, it could be your expert guide to drive optimization as well as perform some of the more mundane tasks. So it'll just keep invoking one AI agent after another to deliver, let's say, a completions optimization. What completions design is best for my particular, well that I have just drilled. So something like that.
Thanks, Raghu. Nikhil, could you share some of your experience working on new ways to deliver transformational value to your customers?
This is very interesting question. So, from my perspective and Visionaize perspective, we see there are four applications of Gen AI. Chatbot, we talked about, extraction also we talked about. Then you come to the reasoning, right, which is little structure approach, and then agents, what Raghu talk about, agentic AI, right? So these are the four applications. So first, we already talk about, right, clients are doing chatbot and extraction of the data in a structured format. Now, reasoning part, which is basically reasoning and agents, these are transformative Gen AI. We are giving that name, transformative Gen AI. Now, reasoning is basically when you are using Gen AI bolting on your classical AI and ML applications. So, for example, we have a very differentiated application like predictive maintenance and process upset prediction, where we detect anomalies using AI ML, and then we optimize, we identify the root cause, and the recommendation for these applications or these upset using generative AI. So the combination of AI, Gen AI, which is very unique, and these help to identify the root cause of the problem. Similarly, for the agents, agents they perform the tasks autonomously, right? So, make decision based on inputs from client's environment, and they are conversational. Like proactive. You don't need to. If you ask a question, they'll say, "Hey, do you need this?" Right? So those type of things, and voice over also there. So that's what we are seeing. Agent side, agents are more like role based. So you can create agents. Hey, troubleshooting agent, process troubleshooting, maintenance technician agent, procurement agent, those type of reliability agent. So these are going to be role based, like you have a reliability engineer for each of your equipment. So that's where the world is going to move, and we are seeing a lot of traction from the customer in this space.